8 teams left. 3 of them nobody saw coming. 2 of them barely survived, and 1 of them was 3 minutes away from being eliminated before they even started. Stay with me, because this is the list every pundit got wrong before this tournament began. The 2026 World Cup quarterfinals feature 8 nations. 4 of them were expected: Argentina, France, Spain, and Norway's opponent England. The other 4 range from mildly surprising to genuinely historic. But the story of this tournament isn't just about who's still here, it's about the teams that came further than anyone predicted and the moments that almost didn't happen. 7 entries. All of them earn their place on this list.
Before you start, I want to register that Switzerland being in the quarterfinals for the first time in their history is the entry that's going to age the best. People are underrating how significant that actually is.
You're not wrong, and we're starting there. Switzerland reached the round of 16 3 consecutive times before this tournament: 2014, 2018, and 2022, and exited each time without advancing. 3 straight tournaments of reaching exactly that stage and going no further. In 2022, they were beaten by Portugal. In 2018, they lost to Sweden. In 2014, they lost to Argentina. This year, against Colombia in the round of 16, they went to penalties, converted all 4 of their kicks, and made their first ever World Cup quarterfinal. Granit Xhaka, 32 years old, playing in his 4th and almost certainly his final World Cup, lifted the Swiss flag in front of a crowd that had largely written this off before the match started. Xhaka himself has been one of the quiet stories of this entire tournament, a player who spent years being criticized at club level, who has turned up at his final international tournament and played some of the best football of his career. The margin that ended their previous 3 runs was the same margin they survived this time. The difference was that this time, the penalties fell their way and the goalkeeper was ready. Number 6, Belgium. Belgium's golden generation has been one of football's great unresolved stories for the better part of a decade. The class of De Bruyne, Lukaku, and Hazard won exactly nothing despite carrying the talent level of a legitimate contender across multiple tournaments. They were 3rd in the world for much of that era. They reached the 2018 semifinal. They went home in the round of 16 in Qatar. And the window has been closing for several years with no clear answer about what comes next once this generation finally steps aside. De Bruyne is now 34. Lukaku is 31. This is, by any reasonable estimation, the last chance for this specific group of players to win something that matches the expectation attached to their names for the last decade.
And they played the best football of anyone in the round of 16, 4-1 against the co-hosts in the United States, with the crowd split between partisan American fans and everyone else in that stadium. That's not a flattering scoreline, that's a statement.
4-1 against the USA, who came into that match with home advantage and a crowd desperate to believe in a deep tournament run. De Bruyne played the match of the tournament. Belgium looked nothing like a team running out of time. They looked like a team that had finally figured out how to play together in the last moment available to them. Whether that continues against Spain in the quarterfinals is the question nobody can answer yet. Number 5, Morocco. Morocco have now reached back-to-back World Cup quarterfinals, the first African nation in history to do that. Their 2022 run to the semifinals was the story of that entire tournament. This year, they beat Canada 3-0 in the round of 16 with a defensive discipline and counter-attacking precision that has become their signature. Did you know Morocco have conceded only 2 goals in this entire tournament? 2 across 5 matches against competition that includes Belgium, Croatia, Canada, and a Canadian team playing at home with everything to prove. Their goalkeeper Yassine Bounou has been the best in the tournament by save percentage. Their backline has conceded from set pieces alone, and they are now in a quarterfinal against France, the team that ended their 2022 run in the semifinal, which means the narrative for Thursday in Boston writes itself. Could you have predicted before this tournament that Morocco would meet France in the quarterfinals again? Yes or no? Drop it in the comments, because the football universe has a very specific sense of irony. Subscribe right now, because every quarterfinal match deserves its own breakdown, and this channel is covering every single one through to the final. Number 4, Paraguay. Paraguay were 3rd in their group. 3rd. They came into the round of 32 as one of the tournament's lowest ranked qualifiers, having lost their opener to the United States 4-1, then recovered with wins over Turkey and a draw against Australia. Nobody was talking talking about them. Nobody had them marked as a dangerous knockout team. Then they beat Germany. Paraguay held Germany to 1-1 through 90 minutes and 1-1 through extra time with a VAR disallowance that nearly ended the match early, survived a penalty shootout despite missing 2 kicks themselves, and knocked out the 4-time champions on the sport's biggest stage. Orlando Gil saved 2 penalties in the shootout. Paraguay's goalkeeper, a journeyman with no major European club career, became the single most discussed footballer in the world for approximately 24 hours. Then France held them 0-0 for 69 minutes, scored a VAR-assisted penalty, and that was that. But here's the honest version of what Paraguay were at this tournament. They went to halftime goalless in every single match they played. Every match. Their entire identity was to deny the opposition, survive, and wait for the moment that changes the game. Against one team, that plan produced the biggest upset of the round of 16. Against another, it produced 69 minutes of genuinely high-class defensive football before a single controversial call decided everything.
Paraguay without Almiron was a completely different team going forward. I genuinely think if he'd been fit from the start of the France match, we're talking about extra time minimum.
The unanswerable question of this tournament. But what is answerable is this. A team that lost 4-1 in their opening match eliminated Germany. That's the sentence that will appear in every World Cup list for the next decade. Number 3, Cape Verde. Where do you start with Cape Verde, the smallest nation ever to qualify for a World Cup? A team of 525,000 people that finished their group stage unbeaten after holding Spain scoreless, drawing with Uruguay, and keeping Saudi Arabia at 0. A 40-year-old goalkeeper named Vozinha, who went from relative anonymity to 17 million Instagram followers in the space of 3 weeks. We've all felt this, following an underdog story, knowing it will probably end, wanting it to last just one more match. Cape Verde's round of 16 against Argentina lasted 120 minutes. They equalized in the 103rd minute through a rocket strike from a defender. They were 8 minutes away from forcing the defending world champions to a penalty shootout where Vozinha would have been the most dangerous goalkeeper alive. They didn't make the quarterfinals, but they changed what this tournament means, and they changed what people believe is possible at a World Cup. That's not nothing. That's something that lasts.
Vozinha deserves a dedicated video. What he did across 4 matches at 40 years old is one of the individual stories of this entire tournament.
Already planning it. Number 2, Norway. Erling Haaland, 24 years old, playing in his first ever World Cup. 8 goals in this tournament. 8! He's the joint top scorer alongside Messi and Mbappe. He eliminated Brazil. He's in a quarterfinal against England. The Viking Row celebration has become the image of this World Cup. Brazil fans joining Norwegian fans in the stands at MetLife after the final whistle, rowing together, is the moment this tournament will show on highlight reels for the next 20 years. Norway were considered a serious team coming in, but nobody expected them to beat Brazil in the round of 16. Nobody expected a Norway versus England quarterfinal that genuinely could go either way. And nobody expected Haaland to arrive at a World Cup and immediately look like the most dominant physical presence the tournament has seen in a generation. The question for this Norway squad isn't whether they deserve to be here. The question is how far they go.
I still want Norway to win the whole thing. I said it after the Brazil match, and I mean it even more now.
And number 1, the entry that almost wasn't there at all. Argentina, 2-0 down to Egypt in the round of 16. Messi missed a penalty, a free kick off the post. The last 4 times Argentina conceded first at a World Cup, they lost every single time. At the 67th minute, every analyst with a prediction model had them going home. 3 goals in 11 minutes. Romero in the 79th, Messi in the 83rd, Enzo Fernandez in stoppage time. 3-2, Argentina into the quarterfinals. Messi now with 8 goals in this tournament alone, more than any player in the modern era at a single World Cup. This team should not still be here. And the fact that they are, having survived what looked like certain elimination against a team playing the football of their lives for 67 minutes, makes them more dangerous than the version that never faced that test at all. Champions who have been tested are different animals from champions who haven't been. Argentina know exactly what it feels like to be losing in a round of 16 match and to come back anyway. That knowledge doesn't leave you. you.
That's actually the most important point you've made in this whole video. The Argentina that nearly lost to Egypt is scarier than the Argentina that was comfortable in the group stage, because now everyone knows they can come back from anything, and everyone on the other side of the bracket knows it too.
Fairy tale for some, warning for others. 7 teams that weren't supposed to define this tournament have already defined it beyond anything the bracket predicted when it was drawn in December. The expanded format was supposed to produce mismatches. Instead, it produced Morocco's second consecutive quarterfinal, Paraguay eliminating Germany, Cape Verde going to extra time against Argentina, Norway ending Brazil's campaign, Switzerland ending a 30-year round of 16 drought, and Belgium finally showing up when it matters most. Which team on this list surprises you most? Pick one in the comments and tell me which one you think goes the furthest before July 19th. I want specific predictions, not vague answers, a name and a reason. And speaking of teams that came further than expected, the full story of how Cape Verde made it to a World Cup round of 16 as the smallest nation in history and what happened when they got there is on your screen right now.